Hey, welcome back to Theo's Coffee Break podcast. For the next episode, we are now here in season 4. Today, we're going to be talking. Ooh, hello. The mic wanted to say something this time. I'm going to be dropping the mic, I guess, on what it means to be nurturing. Yeah. This is something that I have struggled with throughout my life. To know the balance in what it means to be nurturing. And I am now sitting here after processing this for a very long time to know how it fits into my identity and my lifestyle and who I am as a person, and recognizing it as my greatest strength. It is also one of the things that has caused a lot of misunderstanding about who I am as an individual. So I'm going to be taking you back on into this old noggin to help you understand why I think the way I think and how I am truly an authentic, nurturing person, and how being nurturing has made me into a person of value. That I am somebody that does have something to offer in my connections and in my work and also my home life. But I do believe that there is a lot of misconceptions as to what it is. And that's what I'm going to be breaking down here. So to kind of give you an idea, I want to help you understand that nurturing isn't pandering. Nurturing isn't spoiling the child. Nurturing is doing the hard things that we don't want to do to help challenge each other, and learn the lessons to become that person of value. Nurturing is actually the growing pains in life. I think that we often think that at some age, at some point in life, we just stop learning and that we don't have to continue improving or learning or healing or growing, when actually that's something that we do throughout our entire lifetime. That our lifetime here on earth is being in the classroom of how to become better people, showing up for ourselves so we can show up for others. So if this sounds like a coffee break you'd like to join on in, come on over to the coffee table and I will see you there. All right, turning off the phone, turning off the light, and yeah. Nurturing. What does it mean to be a nurturing individual? I think that one of the things I've heard a lot throughout life, especially from my parents and other people with kids, is that it's hard parenting. It's hard being there or knowing how to be there for your child. Because you don't want to hurt their feelings. You don't want them to feel like they're abandoned. You want to make sure that you look like you're a good parent. And so oftentimes we're listening to a lot of the people around us to get the tone in the room, to know how are they parenting their kids so they know what kind of behaviors are acceptable and what are not. And that's where I think a lot of the confusion lies. Because really, nurturing is about what does the connection need? What does that person on the other side of the relationship need from me? Whether it's parent to child, spouse to spouse. If you're the boss, what does your team need? It's reading the room and getting to know each other for who we are and help guide them back onto the path so they can meet the expectations. Or either to make sure that they're not being misguided. So it is quite a big responsibility when you are the nurturer. And this is something that we are all required to be. Man or woman, brother or sister. It doesn't matter who you are. This is a key part in creating healthy connections. And it is up to us to know how to communicate. What is it that is missing? What is it that we need? And that is where we get the clarity around the work that needs to be done so that it's no longer confused. So something that I have recently heard, and I want to take this onto a positive note because, yeah, again, these conversations are hard to have. That is why I made this podcast. Because this is the stuff that we really don't want to talk about. Because we feel exposed. We feel vulnerable. And I'm not here to shame anybody. I'm not here to make anybody feel guilty. I am not here to hurt anybody's feelings. But something has got to be said because we need each other. We need community. We need healthy family dynamics. We need our workplace health to improve so people stop quitting their jobs. I think a lot of the reasons why there's a lot of conflict and disruption and disorder is because a lot of us feel like we feel like we're being treated unfairly. Or why did that person say that to me when they have no idea what's going on in my life? And whenever I hear stuff like this, the first thing that comes to mind is that there has been a miscommunication. Something was not clearly expressed. And I can almost bet the negative $200 in my bank account right now that when it was communicated, it wasn't coming from a place of being nurturing. It wasn't intended to heal. That I bet it was said to prove a point. Or the tone of, because I said so. Or, it is what it is. No, it doesn't have to be that way. As long as we still have breath in our body, something can be done. Something can be fixed. So, what does it mean to be nurturing? I've talked about this in the past, and I'm going to bring this up again. I like to use the metaphor of it's like cleaning the bathroom. Nobody likes to do it. In fact, I hate to admit it. I don't remember the last time I cleaned the bathroom. I mean, it's not that it's untidy. Like, it's a tidy bathroom, but when was the last time I did a deep clean? Why don't we want to clean the bathroom? What is it about that? Or doing the dishes? Or doing laundry? Or making the bed? Or changing the bedding? Why don't we want to do those things? Why does it seem like it's such a chore when it's actually a form of nurturing? Keeping a clean space does truly affect our mental and our emotional health. It's a part of taking care of ourselves. It's a part of showing up for ourselves so that we're setting ourselves up for success. So that when we make that meal, there are clean plates to use to put our food on. When we go to the bathroom, we know that it's not a disaster in there. That we're not walking into, for lack of better words, a shit show. You know? Or like one of my favorite things is like when I change the bedding and then I go to bed at night, knowing that I'm sleeping in a bed with clean sheets, it just makes me feel 10 times better. That's what nurturing is. It's doing the hard thing that we don't want to do, but we know that we should do it because it's a part of healing. It's a part of just showing up for ourselves. And that's something I talk about quite a bit, because self-love is often misinterpreted as being selfish, when really it's you learning more about who you are so that you know how to communicate what it is that you need. On the other side of that, getting to know yourself and being nurturing, you know now what you can provide in the connection. What are your strengths? What, being a person of value, what do you have to provide in the workplace, in your family, in your relationship or your marriage? And you talk with your partner and have those conversations so that we know that things are being fair, that no one feels like that they're being used. And so I wrote here, choosing to do what is best for you and others is not abandoning them. It is recognizing your part and holding others accountable for the connection that you are in. Yeah, it's really tough to hear constructive criticism. It is hard to hear those things that you don't want to hear because you feel like that you're a failure. But that isn't the point. It's saying this is where we can improve so we can get back on track to meet whatever goals or expectations are set there, and that there isn't any confusion. It's clear. So how does nurturing fit into one's identity and lifestyle? For a long time, I was under the misunderstanding that being nurturing was being submissive, being soft, submitting to the dominant one, and taking care of the dominant one. And that pretty much it's like Cinderella. You just take on all of these things and you do all of the dirty work because that's what you are. You're the nurturer. And in turn, it made me feel like I was a slave, that I was abused, a doormat, someone without a backbone. And I really rejected that. I didn't want to be a nurturing person anymore, because it just seemed like no matter what I did or what I said, it didn't matter. I had to show up for everyone else and put myself at the bottom of the list of priorities, because their needs, their wants was more important than mine. In learning that, it really set me up for failure later in life. In my work, in my friendships, in my relationships, and with myself. I no longer trusted my own decisions. I struggled to use my voice because each time I tried to speak out, it was coming from a place of hurt and confusion and that pain and that chip on my shoulder. And that's when I learned that nurturing is actually a strength. To be nurturing, you have to be kind. I talked about that with the crest of kindness, to which I want to go back to what I said there about that. Hold on. Yeah. Being gentle and kind requires strength. If you are not strong, evil and dark forces will take advantage of you. So your kindness is communicating your boundaries from a healthy, grounded place. And it does require you to get to know yourself. And that is one of the first steps and one of the hardest steps to get to so you can begin to heal. So how you can be kind to yourself is learn to forgive your mistakes, understand what you have done, and come to terms with it. That's another part of being nurturing. It's looking yourself in the mirror and understanding whatever happened, it happened. But you are the solution to getting yourself out of that mess. And to just learn how to communicate so it never happens to you again. So when I walked away in my life, I didn't do it the right way, and I know that. And I am so sorry to anyone that I may have hurt in the process. That was not my intention. But I had to get myself to a place to where I can heal, so that I can understand what is it that I'm going through, so I no longer am being messy. I think that's something that a lot of us have to know, is that none of us are perfect people. That before you judge somebody or talk about them, be careful. You don't know what they're going through. So, in learning this about myself, I now see that being nurturing is hard. It's not easy. It is not easy to face the music and know that just how you have gotten yourself into this, you're gonna have to be the one to get yourself out of it. And what has helped me is understanding I'm not being punished. I am dealing with the consequences of the actions and the words and the decisions I've made out of my confusion and the hurt in my heart. So yeah, nurturing does require strength. It requires that kindness and trust that in you walking away, they can take care of themselves while you do what is best for you. Because here's the other tough reality of this. You could communicate to them all of the ways that you feel like they're not showing up for you. You could tell them how they have hurt you. You could speak about it until you're blue in the face, and they still won't listen to you. They still won't take you seriously, because they've already made up their mind that in some way they have benefited from you. Why does it have to change now? So also being nurturing is recognizing that, yes, life can be very unfair. But you gotta choose yourself. You have to. And it's not going to be easy. Trust me, right now, this is not easy for me. I'm scared. I'm in a very difficult position at this time. I don't know what to do, but what I know is I am very proud of the person I have become, because in choosing to nurture myself, I have never felt more at peace. My mind is calm. I'm able to think things through clearly. And yeah, I have transformed. My routine has transformed, my habits have changed. And in part of rebuilding my life, it's just figuring this out one step at a time, one day at a time, and forgiving my past and myself so I can be able to start something new, something authentic, something of value. So, when you choose to be nurturing, you can build a life rooted in sincerity, reliability, and fairness. A part of that is learning to say no. Oh my gosh. Was I a yes man? I used to be a people pleaser. And I said yes to everything. Because I thought that being nurturing was just, I don't know, doing everything for everyone all the time. Day or night. I was that person you could call at 2 a.m. and I would come pick you up at the bar and take you home. Even if I had to work a shift at 6 a.m. the next, or that day. I would be that person that, hey, can you spot me, $20 and I have like $50 in my account. I got you. I'll do that for you. And I would make that $30, last for the next week until I get paid next. Because I thought that's what it meant to be kind. When really it was a form of insincerity. It wasn't nurturing. A part of being nurturing is knowing how and when to ask for help. That's something that I'm learning right now. I'm not a person that likes to ask for help. I'm just not. I'm very used to figuring it out on my own. I'm a very independent person and I know I'm different. I know I'm unique. I'm very comfortable standing alone in my life. But a part of being nurturing is knowing when to let love back in. When and how to make new friends. And a big part is just as much as you can say yes, you have to ask yourself, but should I say no? Do I have the bandwidth? Do I have anything to pour from my cup at this time? Or is my cup running low? A clean slate and a fresh start is sometimes just starting with nothing and figuring it out as you go. And that is so hard for me as an individual. Because how many times have I been here before? It seems like that's just the running pattern. But I can't be angry about it anymore. So I have to walk away. And know that in doing so, in choosing myself, I have what it takes to be able to make the right decisions moving forward. So yeah, nurturing is prioritizing yourself so you can be a person of value. That value is built with patience. That value is being slow to anger. That value is you're not doing this to prove a point. You're doing this because you know who you are now. And this is who you are. This is who I am. And this is how I'm choosing to show up. And whether I feel rejected by the world or not, whether I feel like it's me against the world or not, it doesn't matter. We just have to keep moving forward. And stop going back to people, places, and things that we know have hurt us in the past and would be willing to do it time and time again. So yeah, by choosing you, you must seek and act on clarity so that you can show up better for yourself, so you can show up better for those around you, whether it's in work, in love, or your family. It is so important that we do the inner work and allow transformation to happen in our lives so that we can have a better future for everyone else around us, including ourselves. So thank you for joining today's coffee break. Yeah, these conversations aren't easy to have. I'm sure they're not easy to listen to. But I know that the advice and what we talk about here holds a great amount of value. And these are all things that if I knew back when, it would have literally changed and saved my life. But better late than never, right? So until next time, the best way you can help me out right now is there's a way to donate to support our coffee table and our coffee breaks so that I can continue to make and create this great content for you. A free way you can help is rating this podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. Please rate it, subscribe so that you never miss out on an episode. And again, as I always say, be kind. Take care of yourself. But I want to add in here, I want you to be you. Authenticity is so valuable. And there is no better person that I would love to have me join for a coffee break than someone who is comfortable being themselves. But whether or not you're there, know that whoever you are and wherever you may be, you are always welcome at our coffee table. See you next week.